starting to resume. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dimple, for that beautiful insight into the work that you do. Yes, conservation is something that we all need to practice in whatever ways we can. And that's a beautiful job that you're doing. I myself am deeply touched by the work that people do on conservation. And I also try my best, whatever I can. And yes, food is one of the ways that we can practice conservation too, because finally, that is where we all started. We started going against nature by starting with monoculture and stuff like that. So this is a great platform, I believe. So before going much into it and thanking you for this offering this platform to me, let me start with my slide share. Okay. Okay. So we are going to talk about heart health today. And I like to do things very simply. So my focus always is how can I simplify things not only for myself, but also for my patients. So most of my work is around that, how to simplify stuff. So this topic also, I would like to think that this is about simplifying more and more. So what is heart health and why do we need to think about it so much? As Dimple rightly said, we are coming across more and more news about how people are dying of heart attacks, how so many young people, even young people, are being afflicted by this. Lately, we saw the video of a person attending a Zumba class and just collapsing there. Another one of somebody dancing, a young guy dancing at the dandiya and then falling because of a heart attack. So it seems that heart attack is much more dangerous in terms of causing death worldwide than even cancer. So that is the reason why all of us need to give some attention to how we are treating our heart. So these are all the news articles that you can see that we have been going through since the last few years. So let's look at what exactly is heart disease. So heart disease comprises something called CAD, coronary artery disease, and heart attacks, which we have been hearing more often. Also, it involves abnormal heart rhythms, abnormal heartbeats, that is called arrhythmias, heart failure, which can also be called as cardiac arrest, and heart valve disease, where the valve of the heart has a problem. And also the muscles of the heart may be diseased or weak, which is called as cardiomyopathy. Pericardial disease, the disease involving around the covering, the sheet of the heart. Also aorta disease. Aortas are the big vessels, blood vessels, from which the circulation happens. So if those aortas are diseased, that can also be called as heart disease, as well as vascular disease, that it involves the blood vessels. And some of the tests that we look at when we have to diagnose heart disease is electrocardiogram, ECG. I'm sure you all know of these. Echocardiogram, chest X-rays, which are not as frequently used. Coronary angiograms, which are deeper investigations. So to understand it better, let's first go to the basics. What is the cardiovascular system? What is the whole system of the heart? It's not just the heart, it's the entire cardiovascular system. So what does this involve? It involves the first, of course, the heart, which is the pumping machine of the blood. Second are the arteries. The arteries are those blood vessels which go from the heart to the organs throughout the body. And the next are the veins. The veins are the blood vessels which carry the blood from the organs back to the heart. And the next are the capillaries. The capillaries are the small blood vessels which are everywhere, or in the organs, on our muscles, every single place. These are the smallest foot soldiers of our cardiovascular system. And the next one is the lymphatic system. So this is something that we generally don't involve in the cardiovascular system, but it is a very, very important part of the cardiovascular system. So the function of this whole system, why is the system put in our body? The function is to first carry the oxygen and the nutrients from the to the blood tissues to the cells of the body. After all, without nutrition, our body cannot function. So this is the vehicle through which the nutrition and the oxygen reaches the blood cells. And also the function is to remove the waste and bring it back to the heart, and to the excretory system, so that it can be thrown out. This is the major function of the cardiovascular system. So now you know how important this system is for us to survive and to thrive. So it's but ideal that if anybody has their mics on, please put it off. Please mute yourself. So we understand that this is very important for us to pay attention to if we want to thrive and we want to become healthy. No matter what disease you're looking at, if your cardiovascular system is healthy, that improves your chances of healing much faster. So when we look at heart disease, what is heart disease? The heart disease can be of two types. One that you're born with, congenital disease. For example, you might have heard of kids born with holes in their hearts. Basically, holes in the heart basically mean that one of the walls that their heart has is not functioning well. So, or is not good enough. Sometimes the muscles are atrophied when they are born. This is called congenital heart disease. This is a very small fraction of heart disease. But the major fraction of heart disease, which we all are susceptible to, are at risk for, is the lifestyle cause of the disease, lifestyle disease. And this is important because even if you are born with a congenital disease, lifestyle can still help you to manage it very well. If it is 100% lifestyle disease, chances are you may be able to even reverse the condition, provided physical changes have not yet happened. So that is the reason why we pay a lot of attention to the lifestyle disease part of it. So what are the early signs? You may find some chest discomfort, you may have nausea, indigestion, heartburn, stomach pain. Now, when I put on the entire list, you might wonder, oh my God, am I also having heart disease? Actually, the body always shows us little signs and symptoms to show that something is happening which is not right. So if you have nausea, indigestion, heartburn, stomach pain, chances are it can be or it may not be. But why take the risk? And a pain, especially from the heart, that can spread to your left arm or even to your right arm. That can also be because of some vascular damage. So that is something that you might want to consider. Feeling dizzy, lightheaded often, jaw pain, throat pain, exhausted very easily, snoring. Snoring can cause something called sleep apnea, which is blockage of breathing. Sweating a lot, more than what we would expect. So these are the symptoms, and these are the symptoms which we usually do not pay attention to. We just live our lives going by. But when we reach our middle age, that's when we start going for the tests, the routine tests, sometimes ordered by our offices, the company that we work for. So these early tests, which show that there is some problem with the heart, some problem with the cardiovascular system, is high or low blood pressure. And second is cholesterol. I'm sure all of you have heard of all of these terms: high blood pressure, low blood pressure, cholesterol. All of this has become so common, which was not so common before. And yes, it is good that we are hearing of it, but it is also a little worrisome that why do we need to? I mean, at such an early age, why do we need to be concerned about our high blood pressure or low blood pressure or cholesterol, right? So let's understand these things in detail. So let's start with cholesterol. Basically, cholesterol is a hormone which is secreted by the liver. When we hear cholesterol, we feel, oh, cholesterol is something harmful, something bad. But how can something that nature has created in your body actually be harmful, right? So what is the role of this little hormone that is in the liver? The functions of this hormones, cholesterol, is secretion of steroid hormones like adrenal cortical steroids, the testes, the ovaries, and also testosterone, progesterone, which are again the steroid, the hormones that are uh, connected with reproductive health. It is also important for the synthesis of vitamin D. And this is the main function of the cholesterol. The main function is the cellular repair of the blood vessels, especially the arteries. So basically, in this role, it acts like the first aid or the band-aid. And our arteries are consistently undergoing wear and tear because our blood is consistently passing through it and causing little bit of wear and tear. So the cholesterol is very, very important. And because the wear and tear can happen even in your small capillaries, the cholesterol is present in every single cell of your body and of all the animals who have cholesterol. Now, this hormone cannot just go into your blood cells, into your body cells. So the cells need fat in the combination with cholesterol to function. So that, and because it cannot travel by itself through the blood, it combines in the blood and is called as lipoproteins. And this is the measure of lipid profiles, which we use to measure the cholesterol. So what is good cholesterol and what is bad cholesterol? Of course, this is all boring stuff, but it is very, very important that we all know about this. So LDL, or low density lipoproteins, what do? They carry the cholesterol from the liver into the blood cells. Now, they are also the major component of plaque. Plaques are those blockages that happen in your arteries, in your heart vessels, which later on lead to destruction of the heart muscles because of lack of supply of blood. So LDL, as the name indicates, low. So LDLs, if they are low, they are good. Okay. Now the second one is HDL, high density lipoproteins. Now the HDLs, what do? They do the reverse action. They play cleanup. They collect the cholesterol from the bloodstream, and the LDLs, and from the artery walls, and they transport it back to the liver, where the liver recycles it. Interesting, isn't it? And the third component is the triglycerides. The triglycerides are basically the body's method of transporting fat to the cells. So if you're eating a lot of fat, your liver will create a lot of triglycerides. Remember, our cells also require fat, right? So triglycerides are that transport item, the vehicle from which the fat is going to the cells. So we spoke about plaque formation, right? And we also spoke about how people young at age are also having these heart attacks. Now, we usually consider that plaque formation, when the plaque happens or the blockage happens or the deposition of cholesterol happens in your blood vessels, the blood vessels become very thick. This condition is called as atherosclerosis. Usually, we say that this happens when people get older. But if you see, the deposition starts right from the first decade, right from the age of 2. So if you're feeding your kids a very bad diet, the fat deposition will be much higher right from that age. Because even from that age, your blood vessels are going through the wear and tear because of the blood flowing through. And as long as the wear and tear is not too bad, you will not have so much of deposition. It will be completely normal. But what happens when we are giving the body bad diet? It starts depositing right from that age itself. That is the reason why we need to be aware of this right from a young age. So, what is blood pressure? Let's talk about high BP. In my practice, I consider BP, blood pressure, which is 140 and above on the higher scale and 90 and below on the lower scale, as high blood pressure. Now, as we age, because of the natural deposition of fat, even in a healthy person, the blood pressure, what is considered as normal, tends to be slightly higher than that of somebody who's very young. So we have to consider that also. It's part of the aging mechanism. Now, high blood pressure happens when the lumen or the space inside the blood vessels starts becoming thinner, becoming smaller, and the blood which is flowing through it becomes thicker. Or it can happen when one of these conditions happen, right? So this is caused by, if somebody has chronic kidney disease, then they are more at risk for having high blood pressure. If they have any adrenal or thyroid disorders, metabolic disorders, then also they are at risk for high blood pressure. If you have sleep apnea, if you snore a lot and your airway gets blocked, that can also create high blood pressure, simply because when your airway is blocked, your cells are not getting adequate oxygen. So there is extra pressure on the heart to pump the blood. And it can happen because of hardening of your blood vessels, hardening of your arteries. That is called as atherosclerosis. It can also happen when you are under constant stress and anxiety, which is kind of the base of modern living, right? So that is also something that we need to be very, very aware of. Now we look at low blood pressure. Usually when you have blood pressure of 90/60 or less than that, that is considered as low blood pressure. Low blood pressure happens when the reverse is happening. When the blood volume is very, very less, there's not enough volume of blood, and the heart is, or the heart is unable to pump well. That means the heart muscles are not strong enough, or are diseased, or are blocked. And that can happen when there is a lot of loss of blood from bleeding, in the case of accidents, in the case of surgeries, or when there is sudden drop in body temperature, or a sudden increase in body temperature, where the body is trying to come back to homeostasis. Homeostasis is a balanced condition. Or it can happen when there is a severe blood infection, or when there is severe dehydration. That's why when people are vomiting or have a lot of loose motions, we tend to give them a lot of ORS, or increase the fluid intake, so that their blood pressure doesn't drop. Sometimes sudden drop in blood pressure is way more dangerous than sudden spike. It can also be a reaction to medications and alcohol. And of course, stress and depression also play a role. While in high blood pressure, anxiety plays a big role, in low blood pressure, depression plays a big role. Okay. So do you think that genes are responsible for you getting heart disease? Well, genes are what you're born with, what you have inherited from your parents, from your ancestors. It's like you're carrying a loaded gun, but it is in your power whether you pull the trigger or not. Now that can be very empowering, because it is in your hand now. So you don't have to manifest the disease, provided you don't pull the trigger. And what is the trigger? Your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is something that you have control on. So you can choose to change your lifestyle, and you can choose to not manifest the disease to whatever extent you can. Or if you have manifested, you can at least manage it, and you will be able to sometimes even reverse it. So when we look at when a patient comes to me, I don't look at that person as only the cardiovascular system. I look at that person as a whole. What is happening in other parts of their existence? What is happening in their life? So yes, one part is the physical part. That is, what food are they eating? What is the exercise that they are doing? What is the environment around them? What are they breathing in? What is the water that they are drinking in? The other part, which is also the base of health, is what is the stress condition that they are in? Do they have any social support system? And the higher thing is, do they have a sense of purpose? How happy are they with themselves? These are the stuff that is very, very important if we want to heal as a whole. Otherwise, just fragmenting one part of the human existence may not provide complete healing. So let's look at lifestyle, because lifestyle is something that is more physical in nature, more manageable in nature, right? You can touch and see the food that you are eating. You can actually know what kind of exercise you're doing. When it goes to the mind part, your thoughts are like clouds. They form and then they transform into some structure immediately. So it's a little bit difficult to go there and to alter it. But what is physical, what you can touch and see, that is something that is 100% in your hand, and you can change it to whatever extent is possible, right? So what does lifestyle include? In the physical aspect, it includes the exercise, but more importantly, it includes diet, what you're putting in. What you put into your body is the raw material with which your new cells, your new organs are being built. And it is said that every 2 years, your body has completely changed itself in a way that not a single cell remains that was there 2 years ago. So it's like your body is continually renewing. So what you put in, the raw material that you give to it, is what it will create the cells with. And of course, there are environmental factors which are not 100% in your control, but maybe some of us can attempt to get away from the polluted areas. Maybe we can drink better water, if at all we can. And psychological, of course, like I said, it's a little bit difficult. And the social elements. But diet, as you can see, is the most important part of it. So what we can work on is exercise, a little bit on the mind, but majorly on the diet. So let's look a little bit about the diet.
Dr. Swank says.
So this is a video that I'm going to show about this. The voice that you can hear is Dr. John McDougall. And this is a experiment which was done by Dr. Schwanz, in which these animals were fed a very, very high fat meal. And immediately after that, their blood flow was recorded. So this, as you can see, is the normal blood flow before the meal. Okay, let me see.
Dr. Swank's studies of the cheek pouches of hamsters demonstrate this. You can see the blood cells flowing through the capillaries. The individual cells are bouncing off each other. You have very free and active flow here. And then the animals are fed fat.
So till now, the flow is very active and the cells are bouncing off each other and flowing very, very well. And then these hamsters were fed a high-fat meal.
And what happens is the fat coats the blood cells. Now they no longer individually repel each other. Instead, they hit, stick together, and form clumps. These clumps are identified as rouleau formation.
So this is what happens after a high-fat meal. The cells tend to clump each other and the blood flow starts getting thicker and thicker. So this thickness of the blood is one of the causes of the having high blood pressure, right? And this thickness also ensures that there is more wear and tear of your arteries and that more plaque formation happens in your arteries. And this, it takes around 2 hours for this blood to normalize. In some cases, around 4 hours. And it is not just hamsters. This study has been done in human beings as well. Unfortunately, I haven't kept that slide in this presentation, in which the blood vessels, the capillaries in the eye were recorded in firemen before a heavy breakfast and after a heavy breakfast, which consisted a lot of fat and animal protein. And you could see that the capillary flow has completely shrunk. And that remained that way for 2 to 4 hours. And we tend to have a lot of fatty food even before that 2 to 4 hours is ended. So naturally, our blood is continuously kept in that stage.
And this clumping phenomenon takes place all over the entire body. And this is what Dr. Spank believed caused the damage to the blood-brain barrier was this relative hypoxia that occurs as a consequence of alimentary lipemia. In other words, eating fat. What happens is the circulation slows. Now, Dr. Swank's study.
Okay. So if we look at it that way, where are we going wrong? What is wrong diet, right? So the wrong diet usually would mean all kinds of animal protein. Okay, I forgot to share another thing. Now, the cholesterol that is there in your bloodstream, it comes from not just the liver. It comes from basically two sources. Yes, your liver produces it. That is around 65% of it. But also it comes from the food that you eat. Direct cholesterol comes from animal protein. Think of it. All the animals have a liver, right? Because they have a circulatory system. And all of those animals have cholesterol in them. And this cholesterol is present in every cell of their body and in every secretion of their body. So that means animal protein, not just in the form of eggs and meats and everything, but also in the form of dairy products. Even dairy products, which are the secretion of the mammary secretions of the animals, they also have direct cholesterol in them. And what goes wrong is also the tea and coffee intake that we are so addicted to. Why do tea and coffee create a spike? Because they create a kind of anxiety. They increase the beating of your heart. And that can create, over a period of time, can create damages to your blood vessels and as a result, damage to your heart. Direct oil intake, as you have seen in the video before, can also cause those clumpings. And all kinds of refined food, sugar, jaggery, honey, which are fragmented nutrition, which cause you to have diabetes, which is a metabolic disease, which causes you to have renal disease, which also causes the acidic condition in your body, which can also trigger cancer cells. All of this add to the whole concoction, which is very ripe for your heart to be damaged.
Can you repeat a little bit on the dairy products, ma'am? There was
we will be going there again. Yeah. So all kinds of processed and refined food which are not wholesome can also add up to the entire process. Also chemicals in your food. So what would be the right diet? Right diet would be plant-based foods, whole foods, and organic foods. So now coming back to this. So why no dairy? So this is a study which was conducted in which the meat eaters were 50% at risk for heart disease, while the vegetarians were 45% at risk for heart disease, and the plant-based people, the plant-based means they do not have dairy in addition to other animal products, were only at 4% of risk. See the sharp difference? Right? Now, why is this difference so sharp? This is the reason why. Dairy is not just what we see. Dairy is not a good provider of calcium or proteins at all. It comes with the concoction of casein, which is an addictive animal protein which triggers acidity. Casomorphin, again an addictive protein, and it contains a lot of hormones. Just imagine this. 18 kg calf becomes a 800 kg animal within 18 months. That is the amount of cholesterol, that is the amount of growth hormones that is there in its mother's milk, which it is taking in. So naturally, all of this, when we as an adult, a fully grown adult is taking in, is not needed for our body. A little bit here and there, your body is able to throw it out. But what happens when you're pouring in a lot of it, right? And plus the other conditions are also not apt for it. If every other condition is apt and you're just taking a little bit of this dairy product, your body is trying to throw it out and is successful in it. But today we live in a condition where none of these things that we are doing is conducive to health. And then we add dairy to it, naturally we suffer. So what is the right diet? The right diet would be plant-based foods, whole foods, and organic foods. So now coming back to this. So why no dairy? Right diet would be plant-based foods, whole foods, and organic foods. So and that too in high quantities. The other important thing is antibiotics. The animals are fed a lot of antibiotics so that they are kept infection free. Now, if you go to a doctor with a fever or an infection, your doctor will prescribe you a course of antibiotics and will tell you that do not stop it in between. The reason is that if you stop in between the course, your body becomes resistant to that antibiotic, and you will require much higher level of antibiotics just to overcome a small infection. Now, when those animals are fed these high quantity of antibiotics, they are getting into our body through their secretions. And we have no idea what is the dosage that is going on inside our body. That is the reason why these days we have a high occurrence of antibiotic resistant diseases. This is actual color of farm produced machine extracted cow's milk. But it is not this color when it reaches our homes, simply because it goes through a lot of process of pasteurizing and even bleaching so that we get it as pure white color. The milk that you have is one of the primary causes of hormone related cancer like breast cancer, prostate cancer, ovarian cancer. And it also triggers a lot of these stuff that you see on the screen. Asthma, allergies, acidity, cholesterol, type 1 diabetes. In fact, kids who have fed cow's milk before the age of 2 are at much higher risk of developing type 1 diabetes. And once you have type 1 diabetes, that means that your pancreas is damaged. There is a physical damage, and you can only manage it then. Type 2 diabetes, you can still reverse. So now we cannot eat milk, we cannot eat refined products. What do we actually eat? We can eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. We can eat all of this, 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 this. This? Is it true we can eat all of it? All of this don't have dairy in it, but all of them are not healthy, right? And we all know it. But unfortunately, when we step out of the house, when even at the stores that we visit or in the supermarket, these are what catch our attention. These are what are everywhere around. And over time, we feel that it is okay to indulge in a little bit of this and that. Remember, all these stuff we used to have once in a while, maybe thrice in a year when we are celebrating something. But now it has become a normal part of our daily eating routine. So what do we actually eat? To understand that, we have to understand where the food is coming from. The more the steps that the food takes to reach your plate, the less you should be eating it, right? If you look at the left-hand side, if you look at what is happening to the wheat is going through the harvesting process, growing, which is mostly mono-farming, which is super harmful for the environment, but that's a different topic. And then harvesting it, storing it in a granary, making it into refined maida that is removing a lot of nutrients out of it, then transporting it to a factory, adding the sugar, glucose, oil, fructose syrup, whatever it is, baking at a high temperature, packaging, stamping, transporting to stores, and then staying on the shelf for days. The longer the shelf life, the lesser your life. And then you bring it to home. Sometimes it remains on your shelf for days, and then you eat it. That is the story of packaged food. And on the right-hand side, if you see, there is just this organic mango, ideally from an organic farm, and it is transported to the store after plucking, and then it is transported to your home. You just have to wash it, cut it, and eat it. That is one of the best food that you can provide your body. So people talk about what about nutrients then, right? So we also talk about omega-3, omega-6. We know omega-3 is very good for heart health. But do we need to take supplements? Actually, your body suffers from omega-3 deficiency when you're eating refined oil. Refined oil is very, very high in omega-6 that drains out all the omega-3 from your body. And as a result, you become omega-3 deficient. So the best way to get your things in place is to eat the omega-3 in the right manner, in the wholesome manner. Flaxseed, walnuts, hemp seed, all of this have omega-3 in it. However, even these have omega-3 in it. Your berries, mangoes, papayas, all of them have both omega-3 and omega-6 in it, right? The next one, which is usually the question when it comes to plant-based food, is what about my vitamins? So vitamin D doesn't come from food. It is created on your skin when it is in touch with the right rays of the sun. That's why whenever a patient comes to me, I ensure that whatever their background is, they take these two tests and a list of other tests when they come. And I have found no difference in the levels of omega of these vitamin D and B12, whether you are from a non-veg background, from a vegetarian background, or a flexitarian background, or a vegan background. If you are having a poor lifestyle, when you're inside the room for hours, you're not getting quality sunlight, you are going to suffer from vitamin D deficiency. And B12 comes from good bacteria. So if your gut health is not good, if you're living in an extremely, antiseptic place where you're consistently having all these chemicals around, your good bacteria are going to die. If you're going to eat a lot of antibiotics, that is, antibiotic means something that kills the bacteria. So along with the harmful bacteria, even the beneficial bacteria get killed. That's why you suffer from B12. So these come from these two sources and not from food. So the best way to do it is to ensure that you're getting enough sunlight and you're eating wholesome food. Why wholesome food? Because the fiber from your salads and from your fruits are the prebiotics. That is the food for your healthy bacteria to grow. And when you're eating a lot of fiber, your stomach, the intestines are also allowing all their little villi to open up. And these are the places where your beneficial bacteria create colonies, which are very good for your gut health and for your overall well-being. Vitamin D also helps your cholesterol to be in check. B12 ensure that your nervous system is in check, so that you're not having, you're not as susceptible to depression and anxiety, which can also lead to heart disease. So this is ideally how your food pyramid should look like, right? The base should be a lot of fruits, which are your original fast food, and then greens, and then vegetables, and then greens and lentils, and then your dried fruits and seeds, and the nuts are at the very last of it. As minimal as possible and not very much required. Even though you might hear that, okay, badam khana acha hai heart ke liye. No, fruits khana acha hai heart ke liye, right? Fruits, green leaves, vegetables, grains and lentils, then dried fruits, not nuts, dried fruits, seeds, and then the nuts come in. They're more like your cheat meal, if you can say that. So when you're looking at a plate, this is ideally what it should look like. The maximum area should be filled with raw salad and then vegetable cooked with zero oil. For beginners, at least start with low oil. Of course, no dairy at all, no animal products at all. And then dal with a little oil or no oil. And if at all there is space left, then you eat the grain. What about fruits? Like I said, fruits are your original food. They are pre-digested, sun-cooked food. You don't have to do anything to eat it. You don't have to use any extra mechanism to eat it. Ensure that they are eaten separate from any other meal simply because they digest very, very fast. So if you're having a fruit as a dessert, chances are that you're not benefiting from it. In fact, you may have problems with your digestion simply because they're waiting for their chance and they are putrefying. So always eat them before any meal before and separate from any other meal. It can be eaten with green leaves as well as with dried fruits in the form of a green smoothie or whatever. And melons should be separated from other fruits. Then we come to the vegetables. I'm just quickly going through it because we are less on time. So raw salads is a must before any meal. And focus on water-filled vegetables like the gourd family, the squash family vegetables, because they are a little bit more digestible than other vegetables. If you look at it, the gourd family vegetables are primary fruits which are tender, right? So they are more digestible for you. And it mixes, vegetables mix well with raw, with cooked food, with seeds, with nuts, everything. It just doesn't mix well with your fruits. The lentils and beans, again, less is more, and have one grain at a time. And for every portion of grain, have 2 portions of vegetables. And always, when you're eating your beans or lentils, it's good to wash them and soak and wash them or sprout them so that they are more bioavailable for you. And because they are difficult to digest, we may require some masalas to eat it, which will make the digestion process a bit easy. But don't overdo the masalas, right? Other stuff is try to learn zero oil cooking, which will be very beneficial for you in the long run. Of course, right now, today, if you're coming from a regular diet path, don't aim for zero oil. Just aim for removing the animal products, removing the dairy products. And then if you want to eat something sweet, reach out to the dried fruits. And instead of your oil, try to replace it with roasted powdered seeds or coconuts. And instead of your regular salt, now salt also is like a stimulant. It can trigger your cells. It can cause your blood to become thicker. And that is why when you have high blood pressure, doctors usually recommend you to have less salt. So even if you're having salt, try to avoid the regular table salt and have minimal of your rock salt, black salt, stuff like that. And of course, we spoke about how the tea and coffee also harms you. I don't have the replacement chart here, but I will share it with you if anybody wants. Right. So simplifying nourishment. So forget all of this and just stick to the basics. The basics are choose human food. Human food is always plant-based. Dairy is not human food. Dairy is baby food, which that species also stops having the moment their digestive system has matured. So us fully grown animals of a different species do not need it. It harms us. The lesser the steps to the plate, the better the health for you. And focus on wholesome, non-fragmented. So that means don't go for supplements or stuff like that unless you have a very, very severe deficiency. So eat it as close to its natural form and eat as organic as possible. And the other important thing is don't just go by your meal timings. If you're not hungry at one point in time, just because it is lunchtime, you don't have to eat. And also, if you're hungry before lunchtime, heed what your body is saying. Your body is your best friend. Your body is your best investigative tool. Try to get in your body and understand what it is saying. Learn to read the signals. And if you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, stop. Next, we come to another important part of our lifestyle modification process, that is exercise. So we do know what is exercise. We go to the gym and exercise for 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever. But then why are people who are running marathons having heart attacks at the end of it? Or somebody is doing a Zumba class, why are they having heart attacks, right? So exercise also has to be done smartly. And exercise without a clean diet is not very useful. 80% of your health is diet. Only 20% is exercise. That being said, we cannot totally disregard exercise. So these are the basic movement patterns that our body is made for. Squatting, lunging, pushing, pulling, bending, twisting, and walking. Now, even if you're doing all of this in a quick succession in your gym, that is good, but it's not enough. You must ensure that throughout your day, you're engaging in one or the other of these movements. Throughout the day, some of these movements have to keep on happening. We must not be always sitting like this in a chair, which has become our primary pose right now, right? So ensure that these movements are included in your diet, in your movement, in your daily routine. So how do we simplify movements? You can choose to walk whenever you can. You can mix up your exercise routine. For example, if you're somebody who's used to cardiovascular exercise, try some weightlifting. If you're used to some weightlifting, try some yoga. If you're used to yoga, try some Zumba. If you're used to Zumba, try some, something else. Keep on mixing it up so that you're challenging your body. Suppose you're a long distance runner, you can run for like 21 kilometers without breaking too much of a sweat, but you're engaging only specific muscles. The other muscles are going to sleep while you're in that action. That's the reason why we need to mix up our exercise routine so that all the muscles are engaged, and as a result, all your capillaries are engaged, all your blood vessels are engaged. Whenever possible, take the stairs. If you have knee problems, ensure that you're not walking down the stairs. Walking down the stairs is very easy, but that's not helpful. You have to walk up the stairs so that you're engaging the muscles. When you walk down the stairs, you're possibly bumping your bones against each other in all your joints. So always walk up the stairs, even if it is difficult, even if it takes a long time, even if you can just do one flight of stairs, attempt it and ensure that will ensure that some of your thigh muscles, the thigh muscles are the biggest muscles in your body, that is getting engaged and strengthened. Also your calf muscles. We spoke about the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system doesn't have a heart to pump the blood up, nor the veins have a heart there. So your calf muscles do that job. And when you're climbing upstairs, you're engaging your thigh muscles and your calf muscles. This is a very good cardiovascular exercise. Put on some music and dance, enjoy yourself, and go trekking in nature. Nature has various benefits, which is for another day, but this could really help. And every half an hour or so, get up, stretch, move your spine, ensure that you're not stagnant in one position. As far as possible, sit on the floor to eat. Of course, if you have hip problems, knee problems, do not attempt it, but encourage the younger children to start sitting on the floor to eat, to meditate, to do other stuff so that their joints are kept supple and flexible. Use an Indian toilet, and if that is not possible, we get these attachments like stools on which you can keep your feet up so that the excavation is happening better in your morning routine. Now, these are some emotional issues that are linked with the high blood pressure, low blood pressure, cholesterol, heart, and all that. You can just take a screenshot of it because I'll not be going into detail about it because this is even more individualistic in nature. But it always helps to understand your emotions and to pay a little bit of attention to what is going on there. Where am I suppressing too much? Am I overdoing an emotion too much? Am I not being true to myself? Even if it is just for a few minutes every day, spend some time with that. So for your mind, any kind of meditation, being mindful, even if it is for a few minutes every day. And of course, expressing gratitude. Now, gratitude can be a sensitive topic because we are told that we should be thankful for everything. But that's not true. It is better to be thankful for things that we really feel thankful for. And that can be the very, very little things. And every day, spend some time thinking about this. Today, in this day, what are the things that I felt good about? What are the things that I felt comfortable about? Even if it is just drinking a glass of water, even if it is just looking at a reel that gave you happiness, that made you comfortable. That is where you start your gratitude. That is the point where your heart is open to gratitude. Don't force gratitude. And of course, positive self-talk helps. Even there, tread carefully. Don't go for high level affirmations. Go for the ones which feel true to you, which feel light to you. And acceptance of where you are, at what stage of life you are at. That is a very, very big thing when it comes to the mind. So these are a few testimonials of my patients. I deal with all kinds of lifestyle diseases. And it doesn't matter whether you have cancer or whether you have an allergy issue or whether you're coming with a sneeze. I look at you as a wholesome individual, and I look at where you can be helped and you can be supported with. And I don't give prescriptions, I give advice. And according to that, where are you at and what are you able to do? What is the support that you want? What are the challenges that you face? This is what I try to guide you through. And these are the results that have happened. And as you can see, this lady had, the last lady in the Rani Roy, she came off all her blood pressure medicines. She was, I think, on 4 blood pressure medicines within around 4 to 5 months. This is how effective lifestyle modification can be. So thank you very much. That is all. And these are my contact details in case you want to connect with. Thank you, Dimple. Thank you, Conserve. And thank you, Applied Jainism, for providing this beautiful platform.
Hi, Dr. Rashmi. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I think whatever you shared today was absolutely invaluable. In fact, yeah, I think you've put it also very nicely, you articulated it really, really well. And I think a lot of concepts all squeezed very logically, rationally in such a short time frame. So thanks a lot for this amazing share today. I would like to have the floor open for questions. So people who want to ask questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. I will just enable the ability to unmute yourself. So yeah, please go one by one, unmute and ask questions.
Thank you, Rashmi ji, for a lovely session.
Thank you, Kuntal.
Thank you.
So there are a couple of questions even in chat as well. Maybe if you want to even address that.
Okay, so I'll just go through the chat and say, okay. Okay, I don't know what diabetes means. Maybe we'll have a session on that. Okay, so.
One is by Renuka Jain saying even fruits and vegetables are chemical mixed.
Yes. So fruits and vegetables are chemically mixed, but so is everything else, right? And everything else we are eating. And fruits and vegetables, especially when had raw, they contain at least some live ingredients in it. So they are still beneficial to us. So of course, that's the reason why I have written that organic is the best. You have to go for organic. But if at all it is not possible, just boiling your fruits or vegetables or boiling your dal chawal or boiling your dairy is not going to take away the chemicals, right? But it is going to kill the live ingredients, the life-giving ingredients. So even if you're not having organic, it is always better to eat fruits and vegetables more. Hope that covers it.
Yeah, okay. What about flax seeds and sesame seeds? Should they be roasted? Should they be had raw? Is there any decline in the nutrition if you roast and keep them in the fridge, or how does it all work?
So usually with any kinds of seeds, it is important to soak it and then dry it and use it. In case of flax seeds, when you soak it, it doesn't actually become dehydrated very well. So what you do is flax seeds you can roast. You can even eat it raw, no issues with that. But for somebody who is coming from a weaker digestion, it is better to roast it and powder it. And once it is powdered, the flax seeds have to be stored in your freezer. Otherwise, it starts getting rancid. Now, the flax seeds are not really needed if you're having a wholesome diet. You're getting your omegas from it, but it's not completely avoided also that, so if you like to eat some fat stuff, you can eat your sesame and flax seeds. Sesame is also the same. And you don't need too much. Only half a teaspoon of flaxseed is more than enough for your day's requirement of omega-3 and omega-6.
Got it. And Dr. Rashmi, you said freezer or fridge is good enough? Because
Freezer.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So just for everybody's information, I make chutney of flaxseed and sesame seeds. Yeah, I think that also tastes really well and goes like a good addition to
yeah,
the meal as well. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I keep it in the fridge, so I'll keep changing that in
yeah.
the freezer. Okay. Is ghee good if homemade?
So ghee comes from a cow. Ghee comes from the milk of other species, which is not compatible to us. So how can it be good for us, right?
What?
Ghee is also high in cholesterol, and triglyceride levels can go up when you eat ghee.
Yeah, I think a related question by somebody else is eggs good for heart?
Yeah. So eggs are also basically not human food. So how can it be good for heart? Eggs, every part of the egg contains cholesterol in it because the uh, the hen has a liver and it is producing cholesterol, and it is there in every part of that hen's that animal's cell, and it is also there in every part of the egg, whether it is white part or yellow part, doesn't matter. So when you're eating eggs, you're providing direct cholesterol to your body.
Okay, yeah, thank you. What should be the replacement to milk? Smita has asked, yeah.
So milk, as we can see, is not at all beneficial for us. So something that is not beneficial, it really doesn't require a replacement. But we are connected to habits, right? So if we are habituated to having the milk in any form, it is better to use plant based milks like homemade almond milk. You get soy milk also, which is, but ensure that you're buying products which are pure, and also don't overdo anything that you overdo is harmful for you. So there are a lot of plant-based milks available these days, and it is very easy to make them as well. But again, it is not a necessity. It is just a crutch to get off the habit.
Got it. Yeah, a question I had is if you can share about your fruitarian journey. Again, heard a lot about it, but it also gives rise to a lot of questions that it will lead to a lot of depletion of essential nutrients. So
Yeah.
something about that if you want to share.
So let me clarify that I'm not 100% fruitarian. I am like 80% fruitarian. Since 2016, I have been on a raw diet. That means I don't eat cooked food. So in the last year, for almost a year, from April to this April, I had been doing 25 days only on fruits, and then 5 days I will eat salads along with the fruits. And now, after April, I've been eating about 80% of fruits and one meal of salad a day. Now, the thing is that I do not recommend fruit based right now because I'm experimenting with it. This is all an experiment that I am conducting with myself, and the journey has been excellent. I've been feeling good. I've been feeling energetic, and I've been understanding that when I eat fruits, the addiction to salt comes up. That is the reason why I'm not 100% fruits. It's nothing to do with nutrition. It's all got to do with my mind. So yes, fruits, like I said, are our original food. So instead of directly jumping into, so now I became a vegan, that is plant based, in 100% vegan for the animals in 2010, and then 2013 I gave up all the refined products, and then in 2016 I became raw, and then last year I started my fruit journey. So it's been a progression. If you're coming from a high a regular diet and you suddenly jump to eating fruits, your body will go through a catharsis, through a increase in your symptoms that might be very, very difficult for you. That's why always step into it one by one is what I advise usually, because that's what I have experienced, what I have seen in my patients as well. So yes, fruits do give you all the essential nutrients that we need. Unfortunately, we are so used to certain eating habits that the emotion comes into play.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And what about raw? So you have even vegetables raw or parboiled or how?
No, I eat everything raw. So the vegetables that I eat are also softer vegetables, which are easy to be eaten raw. So it's been 2016 since then I have been eating raw. So it's not very difficult for me right now. But again, I would also suggest that start slow. Whatever you do, start slow.
Okay, nice. Okay, Yoni has asked, can you share a replacement chart for the benefit of all?
Okay, I will do it. Maybe I don't have it right now here.
You can share it with us and we'll
I
share
will
the
share
chart
it with
the
you.
group.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm assuming all the participants here, you are a part of our Go Conserve guest lecture group, WhatsApp group. If you're not, just ping me and I can get you added to that group. So maybe you will get the recordings there as well as any additional requirements like this replacement chart. We will post it up there. Okay. Um, Bhaskar from Chennai has asked, can we have omega-3 supplements?
Again, I think I have covered it. Unless you're extremely low in omega-3 and you require that for the time being, I do not recommend supplements at all. Because if you're going to eat a wholesome diet, you're going to get that from there itself. So why do we need a supplement, right? In fact, supplements themselves can harm because they are going to go into your liver, and the liver has to metabolize it, something that it is not made for. It is made for metabolizing it in the wholesome form, not in the form of these derived form. So that's why I do not recommend supplements unless you're having a severe deficiency, and that too short term, while you're working on increasing it through natural ways.
Okay. Then Sarvanan has asked, how is it that the bacteria after boiling the food doesn't get, how is that the bacteria after boiling the food doesn't get rid of it? So maybe saying once you boil the food, all the bacteria anyways gets over maybe. So probably, sorry.
I did not get the
Yeah,
question.
Sarvanan, do you want to come off mute and ask this question? Maybe I'm not articulating it properly.
Yeah, thank you. Ma'am, as you said, like about organic fruits, you replied that while cooking your food also, your grains doesn't get rid of bacteria. So
No,
I
not
just
bacteria. I said of the chemicals.
chemicals, yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
So isn't it like I thought like chemicals we would get rid
The
of if we cook
the
in,
bacteria are killed, not the chemicals,
oh,
right? The chemicals remain where they are.
so we consume the grains even after boiling with the chemicals.
Yes, the chemicals remain there.
So sad.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You're answering very beautifully. And thank you so much. And I had one more question in the same thing. So when you say human food often, so how did hunting happen in the past, which is now continuing as non-vegetarian food even now? So
For that, I will have to go back into the past, which is unfortunately not possible because I don't know why, how, where, right? There are only theories. But if you look at yourself today, if you look at what nature has given you today, without any man-made thing. See, first of all, we have to understand that nature knows better than us, right? If nature has made an organism, the nature had made its food and also given the tools for that organism to procure, digest, and consume that food. Now, if you look at ourselves as we are today, do I, with this, without any man-made tools, have the ability to go and hunt an animal and eat it? Right? That for me doesn't seem possible. So yes, of course, as we progress, we have done a lot of places where we have gone wrong and all that. And if you look at it, there are even some studies done on Eskimos, the early settlements of Eskimos, whose bodies, fossils were found, where they settled in the places which were extremely cold and they couldn't grow any vegetables there. So the early settlers or humans, the Eskimos, they were eating a lot of non-veg food because that was the only way they could survive. And they found that these settlers wouldn't live beyond the age of 40, and they would have a lot of fractures happening because the calcium was being depleted because of the high animal protein intake. So maybe that is the reason why they went to hunting, because they were going to live in regions where greens were not available. So it was a matter of survival rather than thriving. In an abundant world that we live in, where everything is available, Do we still need to be stuck in the mode of survival? That would be the question.
Yeah, thank you so much. Because the term human food, so that I just want to get clarified. How do you authentically say humans are meant for only this?
Yeah, so because your the God-given or the nature-given tools, with that you can only eat this, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you. Very well answered, Dr. Rashmi.
thank you so much.
The next question is curd or buttermilk good for health? Again, related to animal products, but yeah, I think a lot of
Yeah,
times buttermilk is regarded as good for the gut.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is that yes, buttermilk has bacteria which is supposed to be beneficial for us, but then it comes with the high risk of cancer, of heart disease, of um, growth hormones, of immune disorders, of diabetes, and everything. So is it worth it, right? While we can get the same beneficial bacteria by eating other fermented stuff which are plant-based. There are a lot of plant-based curds available in the market, and you can make them also if you just Google plant-based curds and stuff. But on the other hand, I must tell you that since I went raw, I have not eaten any kind of curds or fermented food. But my B12 levels usually come back very normal and I don't have any gut issues. The reason is because our body has the bacteria. Our entire existence, it's like a universe in itself. We are filled with lots of microorganisms inside. We are in a symbiotic relationship with them. And when we eat our natural food, they come back to live there and they start providing the benefits. So my gut bacteria is extremely healthy without taking any of these probiotics or anything. So yes, there is hope. But as of now, if your gut is really unhealthy, go for plant-based fermented foods, and that they will provide you the best probiotics that you require.
Yeah, I think the question was, is fermented food good for gut? I think you answered that one as well.
Yeah.
Um, is rice better than wheat for heart? By Dhara.
So there is no, for me, there is no classification in the grains. All grains are difficult to digest and should be minimized. And when it comes to rice and wheat, both of them are hugely abused by us because right now we don't find the original grain, especially of wheat. Wheat is the most abused grain in this world currently because it is used for a lot of stuff and a lot of gluten is required. And it is being cultivated even in places where it doesn't grow naturally. For that, a lot of hybridization, a lot of altering of its DNA, that is GMO, has happened, because of which the original grain is non-existent. A very similar case has happened with rice as well. But yes, if you look at it, rice is one step below wheat in terms of how polluted it is. But it is not necessary unless you have a very, very severe gluten allergy.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Is millets better than wheat and rice?
Millets. Okay, yes, millets are slightly better simply because, again, like I said, grains are grains. They are not ideal for our body. But millets are, as of now, till now at least, they are not as commercially cultivated. Unfortunately, that is also becoming true now with the commercialization happening with the millets as well. But currently, still now, yes, millets are slightly better. But the focus should be on eating more vegetables as opposed to the grains.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. From Bhaskar Chennai, can we eat fruits before meal?
Absolutely, yes, as long as you've not had anything before. But after that, keep at least the 30 minutes to 1 hour gap so that the fruit goes into your duodenum, which is the next part, and then you can eat your meal.
Got it. Is having water 45 minutes before food and after food okay or
Now,
avoidable?
water is, as you drink it, 80% of the water just passes through you. It goes into your kidneys and is filtered out. It is not hydrating your cells. The water that really hydrates your cell is the bioavailable water that is present inside the fruit fruits and inside the raw vegetables. So if you're feeling dehydrated, drink, sip water. Don't gulp it down. When you gulp it down, your brain doesn't get enough time to register how much water has gone in. So forcefully drinking water, whether with meals, before meals, after meals, is not at all advisable. Check in with your thirst. If you're thirsty, drink. If you're not thirsty, leave it.
Got it. Thank you. Is it okay to have green leafy smoothie in the rainy season?
Absolutely, as long as you're cleaning it well. And because the main problem with green leaves in the rainy season is, one, it tends to become soggy very fast and decay very fast. Second is the presence of small insects inside of it. So as long as you're cleaning it well, it is good. And the second story is, instead of eating the ground greens, as in the leaves that grow closer to the ground, you can always eat leaves which grow on trees, like your curry leaves, your moringa leaves, even your tender, guava leaves, tender mango leaves, all can be put into your green smoothie.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, when I didn't know that. Okay, Yoni has also written, I got addicted to lime and pink salt on my 10-day fruit diet. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're on a fruit diet, you're not supposed to have salt at all. Yes, it is an addiction. Salt is an addiction. It is real.
Okay, so does it harm salt on fruits?
Salt basically is harmful, especially when we have lots of amounts of it. And when you're eating fruits, the idea is to cleanse your system. The idea is to provide a space where the body can heal. So the fruits are not healing the body is healing itself. We are providing the body with the nourishment in a way that it is fast absorbed, so that the space that it gets is used for healing. When you give salt during that process, that salt is triggering your cells, so it doesn't get that space to heal. So that's why when you're eating fruits for whatever fasting you're doing, it is recommended to avoid it.
Got it. I also saw when I was going through your profile, Dr. Rashmi, this is a question from me. I saw that you've mentioned about there's some connection between COVID vaccine and cholesterol, it looked like. And
Yes.
there were a couple of tests that you've specifically recommended if you have if you've gone through the COVID vaccine. Can you throw some more light on that?
So there has been, interestingly, more and more tests coming up right now, studies coming up right now about the linkage of the vaccines with the clotting mechanism in your blood. So the blood has been becoming more viscous in many patients who have had the vaccines, because of which there's a higher tendency to heart attacks. If you see, after 2022, there has been an increase in sudden heart attacks, right? So this is one of the reasons that is a possibility that this could be the reason for it. So that's the reason why I ensure that anyone who has got a COVID vaccine, they get these two tests done, which from which we can understand the level of inflammation in the body and the health of the heart.
Okay, and anything that should be done to reverse that impact, or anything that is recommended?
See, when you have had a vaccination, especially an mRNA vaccination, I don't think it can be reversed. It's altered your RNA structure, right? But you can always work on your lifestyle. You can always eat clean, because then it becomes like, even in a congenital heart disease, in which you're born with a hole in your heart, even then, if you eat clean, you can prevent yourself from having diseases. So even if you have had a vaccine, if you're eating clean, you can still prevent heart disease.
Got it. Okay. And I have them. And then there is, they say Kashmiri garlic is very good for cholesterol. Any thoughts on that?
Again, when we talk about stuff like garlic, it is a spice, right? Anything which you cannot eat on your own, it is not food, it is medicine. It is a herb, right? So when we are looking at herbs and medicines, they have to be handled with that care. It might not suit everyone.
Okay.
So when you're looking at food is that which you can eat just like that on its own. Now with that, you can mix and match. That is true. So instead of looking at remedial stuff, why don't we look look at reversing it or hitting it at the cause itself. Prevention, right? Start from there. And no, even if you don't eat any garlic, see, some people even eat soaked methi for diabetes. But I take my patients off all of these nuskas and put them on the real hard work. These are easy ways that we want to patch up, but
Got it.
there are no shortcuts to health.
Got it. No, yeah, very interesting approach, I would say. Okay, and then I think Bhaskar from Chennai is again asked, is it good to have veg salads or fruits before milk? Or before meal, sorry, before meal?
Absolutely. The raw salads are supposed to be had before meals only, so that it gets the maximum support from your digestive tract to absorb the nutrients. And then immediately after, ideally 10 to 15 minutes after, but even if you don't have time enough, if you're working and you have a lunch break which is short, have your salad first and then continue with your meal. That works.
Sure. Okay. What about the quantity of water to be consumed? 7 to 8 liters per day. Is that good enough? Smita has asked.
Again, like I said, it's all depending on your thirst level. If you feel thirsty, drink, but drink with the entire mouth and within small gulps. Allow your body to send you the biofeedback mechanism. There is no this much amount that we need to drink. That is all fragmented nutrition approach. When you look at wholesome nutrition, you work with the signals that your body is giving you. So if I eat a lot of raw, right? So unless I'm eating salt in my salad, I really don't require water. But if I have salt or if I'm having seeds in my salad, then my body tells me, okay, I need some water. Otherwise, there are days that I don't drink water at all.
Got it. Yeah. Agreed. Okay. And Sarvanan has asked, why is salt harmful? Could you be more specific with respect to the overall consumption of salt?
So if you look at salt, where does salt come from? Let's look at that, right? If it is table salt, it comes from the sea. Will you go and drink seawater? If it is rock salt, it comes from a rock. Will you be going and licking a rock, right? So that is the reason why we don't, when you look at it in nature, this is how unattainable salt is for us. The salt that we require, that is the bioavailable salt, is present in the fruits and vegetables that we eat. The soil has the minerals, the nutrients that we require, that is taken in by the plants and it is put in the fruits that we or the vegetables that we eat. So that is where our bioavailable salt comes from. The other salt is coming into our bloodstream and it is working the same way as a supplement would work. And it is irritating the blood cells. That is the reason why we do not recommend eating so much of salt. But on the other hand, right from the day we started eating solid food, we have been given salt. It has become an addiction for us. So when you suddenly stop salt, your body will go into a reaction. Just like when you stop a drug, if you're an addict and you suddenly stop one day, your body will go into a reaction, right? Similarly, when you stop coffee suddenly one fine day after years of being addicted to tea and coffee, your body will react. You will have headaches, you'll have tremors. A similar reaction will happen when you stop salt suddenly. That is the reason why I recommend going on these less harmful salts and then decreasing the amount, adding the salt at the very last space of cooking. If you're eating salads, try to eat it without any salt. If you have celery sticks or put lemon on the top, you might not require salt at all. So, but don't go off it immediately. It is an addictive agent. So,
got it. Okay. Yeah, I think thank you so much, Dr. Rashmi. This probably covers all the questions we had on the chat. And I think you really fielded them very well. So thanks a lot for a lot of insights that we gathered today. If anybody else has any more questions, please feel free to come off mute and ask, else we can end the session soon.
Hi, can I speak?
Yeah, Sumiji, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for this session, especially Rashmi. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Sumi.
Always a pleasure to listen to you. Hi. So I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Like she mentioned just now, I prefer to use lime in my salads or even in the cooked food. Is that much better than, using, even though I do use rock salt, we don't buy the table iodized salt anymore for many years now, but we prefer to use lime. And I also I enjoy the taste of lime better. And so is that a good thing? Better than,
It is
using very
definitely,
little, even
yes, yes,
using natural lime juice?
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
And also, okay, great. And also, just wanted to add also to what Muthulakshmi asked. Muthu is a friend, and she's joined this webinar based on my share. So I'm happy to see her here. I just wanted to add, maybe Rashmi could also share what she feels. But this question about why hunting happened and about human food, one of the reasons, of course, we don't know because we didn't live in those times, or we did, but we don't remember. But basically, when they migrated to other places, when people migrated to other places where there was less vegetation, and mainly when they discovered fire, how to create fire by rubbing stones together, and fire was created. And they also began making weapons, making weapons out of wood, and eventually they progressed to other materials to protect themselves from wild animals, to save themselves. And then they discovered fire, and then they realized that they could actually prey on animals with those weapons. Like you rightly said, with our own hands and legs, we cannot catch any wild animal, or any other animal for that matter. We'll get scratched and bitten and clawed. So man or humans discovered weapons, discovered fire, and then began to use these against nature and against animals, and started looking at animals as a source of food, and started cooking them and roasting them on fire. And that's how hunting progressed and everything. And as we, as a species, as a race, we progressed, we understood that we can farm animals very easily because they are more docile and we have more power over them. And now eating non-veg food is basically a habit, and it is totally industrialized. So the human food, I really like the concept of the way you called it, because either we say animal food or we say plant-based food, but today you used human food, which I think, that's a very good way to look at it. And we need to think about where all of this is originating from. So thank you for that insight about, we can't go lick rocks for salt. We can't go drink sea water. So similarly, we also would, need to understand where is that food originating from that we today call food. So thank you for those insights.
Thank you, Sumi.
Thank you. So I think with this, we are more or less done with all the questions. Thanks a lot to everybody for attending this. We will soon share the recording in a couple of days, maybe 2 to 3 days. I would sincerely request that please share the recordings with like-minded people, with people who are open to some of these concepts and they're already started on this journey, and even others, of course. Yeah, and all the best in this particular journey for each one of you. And Dr. Rashmi, thanks once again. It was one of the best sessions that we've had on this forum for sure. So thank you so much for your amazing insights. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you so much. I hope at least you take away some points from this and it helps you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye. Bye.